Obviously, Cathy Ann Viveiros has started a write-in campaign. What do you think of a write-in campaign against you?
Well, like as I said to anybody that asked me, as far as I'm concerned, she's candidate number one. If you listen to the tape from the mayor's secret meeting with his supporters at LePage's restaurant, he said that there were going to be write-in candidates as he ran an untraditional campaign.
That I could go into a November election with all the same set of rules that don't exist today, all the same circumstances, and think we could win big. You can't. And that's a reality. You can't under the circumstances. So we have to run an untraditional campaign. My name will still be on the ballot, as will Mr. Coogan's. I believe there will be possibly one, possibly two, who knows, three write-in candidates that will emerge. Those people should be considered.
She's just candidate number one. I mean, we're getting close on time now. I'm still waiting for 2 and 3. They said there was going to be up to 3, but we're ready to do battle to earn the votes of the citizens in Fall River based on what we do. Whatever she and her group do, that's up to them.
How about debates? You gonna have debates with her?
Who am I debating? That's my question. Who am I debating? If one of them comes out next Wednesday, am I going to go again with another debate? If one comes out on Thursday? I mean, she worked for the mayor a lot longer than I ever did and closely with him. And if she's alleging that what he says is not worth listening to, then she should come out and say that. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a write-in campaign. I earned my spot on this ballot by getting 300 signatures, going door to door, racing through the whole winter in the preliminary election, starting up again, and that's what you do when you want to run. If you make a decision that 3 weeks from an election, you decide that you want to run a write-in or a sticker campaign, whatever you call it, you're not treated the same way as someone that's earned their spot on the ballot as far as I'm concerned, because next Monday, Mike Sylvia could come over and show me a sticker and say, I'm running as a write-in. I look at it that way. I don't conjure these schemes these people have. As far as I'm concerned, I'm still running against Jazel. Whether Cathy's getting stickers or write-ins, it's the same person. I look at the crew she surrounds herself with, and they're the same faces I saw throughout the whole recall, and it's the same faces I saw with Jazel.
So I called the OCPF, the campaign, and I asked them, is she considered a legit candidate? And he said, they basically told me there was 2 qualifiers, even for a write-in campaign candidate. Have they filed officially, and have they started spending money for the seat they're running for? And I looked it up. So Cathy, she filed on the 18th of October, and she has spent $5,000 so far. So before we did this interview, I actually called over there, and they said they consider her a legit candidate at this point. So your point, I think, is correct, as in how many other people could do a write-in. But once it becomes official, would you consider now?
What do you mean official?
She's considered an official candidate by the state of Massachusetts.
Maybe she's considered the first one, but I'm
Yes.
waiting to see the others that they talked about.
So would you do a debate with her, because now she's official candidate?
And if someone comes out Wednesday,
If they were official candidate, would you?
do another one?
Yeah.
I have a campaign to run. I mean, you're telling me conceivably next week we could be doing 3 debates?
Well, I think they got to plan those ahead of time, right?
I haven't got any plan on any debates now.
Have you been asked to do any?
No one's asked me about a debate.
Okay. So, but would you do it if right now it's just you and Cathy officially and Jazel Korea in the race?
No, that's not accurate. Right now it's officially, as far as I'm concerned, on the ballot, it's Jazel and I. Cathy's an outcropping of Jazel's campaign because many of his supporters went over to her. At this time, the 2 names on the ballot I know are Jazel Korea and Paul Coogan. They earned their spot there through getting signatures and traditional campaigns. His idea of an untraditional campaign is all new to me, and at this point, I'm running against Jazel Korea. Because someone throws their hands up or puts some money into a race, I mean, I put a ton of money into my own race too, and I don't know if that might be a legal qualifier, but that's not what the citizens think.
Yeah, so I looked into it. Secretary of State page has how to run for office as a write-in campaign. And it basically says intent, all this kind of legal jargon, intent. So it's a sticker campaign. And I've seen other people do write-in campaigns, but they didn't do it officially, meaning they didn't file officially for the race, and they didn't actually spend money in the race. So for all intents and purposes, she's an official candidate with you and Jazel Korea, as far as the Secretary of State is concerned. So that's what I'm asking, but you don't consider her
No.
a legal candidate?
No, I like a candidate that gets 300 signatures, puts their name on the ballot, and gets into the battle from the get-go. I debated Jazel Korea within the last year 4 times. And I debated him before the preliminary election, and if that was the case, we may end up doing another one. But with a week, whatever, it's 12 days out, I don't see any time for debates right now. And again, I don't really consider her, even though she meets the legal criteria that you're trying to explain to me, Mike, she's not a real
So would you debate Jazel Korea then?
Jazel Korea said he suspended his campaign, so, I mean, you're asking me a bunch of hypotheticals that discount everything other people say to try to get me to say something. It's my position that the 2 names on the ballot are Jazel Korea and Paul Coogan.
Okay, so, because we've been asked by people, are you going to have a debate? And clearly they're probably like Cathy followers, and people are going to ask for that.
I would too. If I was her, I'd be doing the same thing. Don't get me wrong. She has to make up a lot of ground in 3 weeks is what she's trying to do, and I understand it. But that doesn't account for the time and effort put in to go through the preliminary, to do the debates that were sponsored then, to win the preliminary election, and then to keep campaigning. Because her boss, as she calls him, decided to suspend his campaign is not a green light for everyone to jump into a race. It's my position that if she thought she could help the city, she should have got into this race the way the rest of us did. And if she did not want to run against her boss, then she should have took a leave of absence or taken a vacation. If she thinks that getting permission from someone with 24 indictments that is under a cloud of suspicion is the way to run a campaign, she's mistaken. If I was working for Mike Sylvia and he had 24 indictments and I did not like the way the direction of the city was going, I don't need your permission to run against you. Matter of fact, I'm going to walk in your office and say, Mike, the city needs a break. It's time for me to have a crack at this. But she didn't do that. She waited until he stepped aside, and then she came out on whatever she thinks she's doing. It's my position that if you take a moral stance, you have to follow it through. And if Mike Sylvia was my mayor and I was a chief of staff or city administrator, you had 24 indictments, then I'm going to walk down to your office and say, listen, the city needs to go in a different direction. I'm sorry I supported you for a lot of these things, but I'm going to run for mayor. That's not what happened. What happened was he had a secret meeting where he announced there were going to be write-in candidates. She said she'd run if he wasn't on the ballot. He's still on the ballot, but she's running. He suspended his campaign, and she popped up. Now, if that's not collusion or God knows what, it sure does appear.
She announced the day after Jazel actually stepped down.
So, I mean, that's kind of, and then the signs were up already, and it's the whole story we all know. But it's my position that you run to get on the ballot, to win the confidence of the voters going forward. If she thought the mayor was such a bad person or he was doing something wrong, then that's a conversation that she should have had with her boss and said, listen, I don't like the direction you're taking the city. I think we need to do something fresh and different, and I'm the answer, and I'm going to run. But that's a moral position, and Fall River right now needs moral leaders. They need people that are not going to wait for someone under indictment to give them an okay to run for office. I want people that are running for office that are running on their merits and what they think they can do to help the city. I'm not waiting for permission from anybody to run for office. I'm just going to put my name on the ballot, and the voters will decide who they want.
So no debates. There'll be no debates between now and November 5th.
When the 3 write-in candidates that the mayor promised us come forward, we'll have another talk.
Do you know any other names that are out there?
I didn't know her name.
Okay.
So I didn't, unless you know them, I don't know who they are.
What would you say to people who, I mean, you won fair and square and pretty significantly in the preliminary election.
Okay.
But what would you say to people who say, hey, we need some kind of like debate between now and November 5th? You are going against Jazel, but he did suspend his campaign. And Cathy is the only legal, according to the state. What would you say to people that you're not giving them enough debate.
Legal doesn't always cut it with me either, because a lot of rules, that's why we have a legislature and we have a Congress. Laws change all the time. She decided to jump in when she got permission or whatever from the mayor. I'm still running against Jazel. He's the candidate on the ballot. That's who I'm running against. Her 3-week campaign, she has to do whatever makes her comfortable, and I'm sure she's doing that.